We need to welcome you back, and we'll see with the big story for today. And we're talking about that transpired on Saturday, and well, it looks as if it's giving many, especially in the West African region, a reason to sit down and rethink and look at all the options placed on the table. With the military junta himself, and we're talking about General Tichani coming out to say, well, I feel I'm open now for dialogue, and what should ECOWAS as a region do, or even the international community do to see if that window of dialogue will really be used and see how they can really avert a war that is most likely, considering that the military chiefs in the West African region are definitely going ahead with some form of mobilization. So what should be done, and should that open window be explored, and what should the move be in ensuring that they've now shown an olive branch and seeking for dialogue? Well, that's what we're having as a major discourse today on the big story, and I still have him here, no other person but Mr. Gideon Oguns helping out with the discussion. Well, anyway, because of time, when I've really gone back to tell you what we started off in our initial discussion, but we have a lot to ask, especially our concerns this very window and the opportunity given by the military junta to the West Africa states, especially head of state, to see if dialogue will be the key. Now, let's quickly go back to it. And I'd rather take us back to on Saturday. Like I said, a lot transpired on Saturday. And I want us to still remain there, especially without meeting between some Islamic scholars and General Tichani himself. Now, he apologized on Saturday. He apologized for earlier refusing to see the delegation set by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. And I'm talking of no other person but the former the head of state, Abdul Salam Abubakar, on the ground that the military was angry with the ultimatum given by ECOWAS. But my question is, initially, a lot of people criticized the stand of sanctions and even military intervention by the West African sub-region, and which was definitely spearheaded by no other person but Tinubu administration himself. But with the turn of the event, do you feel that those measures were the ones paying off now and making the junta have a rethink? Because as it stands, goods are not coming into Niger, neither than anything coming out of Niger. No fly zone. Everything seems to be really at a standstill. Just 3 weeks, I won't lie, their economy is already on its knees. So would you feel that everybody criticized our initial move, even up till now? We see some northern senators still shouting at the top of their voice that a sanction imposed on Niger was not the best way. But do you feel this is reaping of the benefit of that?
Yeah, remember, it's a conflict. And sadly, a conflict of interest. So
I love the way you put it.
Here is Tinubu trying to hold on to the ECOWAS point of view that democracy have come to stay in West Africa
and should be maintained.
And it should be maintained. The other party in Niger feels democracy have not delivered the supposed dividend that it was supposed to bring. And so other options should be tried. So both trying to achieve their goals will employ different models. Now the modus operandi now being adopted must have its effects. For instance, Nigeria sanctioned on no more trade with Niger. We know that Niger is a landlocked country.
Yes, from all borders.
And most of the things we consume in Africa are shipped to us. Okay. Very few go through air, but most comes through water.
Okay.
So you have a long relationship of trade gone through centuries, where goods move from the coast to the north, then goods move from Niger down to the coast. And so when I say coast, we are seeing Nigeria and Niger.
Yeah.
So whatever blocks that becomes an issue. And in this time, it affects Niger more because their petroleum products is cut off. Let me just use the word energy. It's not a challenge.
Electricity is off too.
That's why I decided to use a global word, energy. So they can't access energy. They, in an attempt to retaliate, decided to proclaim a no-fly zone. Good. Whichever aircraft was to go there will not go. Now, how many, economically speaking, were going to Niger, and how many Nigerians were coming out of Niger? So you see that in terms of economy, they didn't think fast. If they have thought fast, you see, I heard in the Civil War that when the Biafrans and the Nigerian side, a man in the Nigerian side said, let's do them this way. Let's ensure that we don't give them food and let's see what happens. We all know the consequences of that. And those historians, they know what we are talking about. So the sanction on Niger is a heavy sanction.
So 3 weeks they're already on their knees.
Is a heavy sanction. Going with the fact that harvests have not been there. They didn't store anything. Attempting that in 3 weeks, there will be nothing new coming. This was something they went to bed and they came back and they said, this have come. So the suddenness by which it came and the economic sanctions that are following just make cost of living there worse and the welfare of the people terrible. So if you are a leader, you will not want to play only to the gallery. I believe his apology is on the point that at the point he was using the word angry, they were playing to the gallery. We are soldier men. We have taken the mantle of leadership. It will not be the way we want. It's okay. They are still soldier men. They are still within the junta.
Yeah, he's still General Tichani.
However, the reality is the man on the street who were shouting, hail him, hail him, hail him. Hunger is dealing with them.
So, okay, well, yeah, okay, well. Anyway, General Tichani said it was painful to the coup leaders that the economic community of West African states, heads of state, and the government leaders did not hear their own side of the matter before issuing an ultimatum to them and to quit office. So my question, I'm just a bit curious. I'm always curious about such. Was it that ECOWAS and Nigeria were too hasty in taking a decision, or an invitation would have been proper? And even inviting them, would that not even indirectly legitimizing
that gives them legitimacy?
Yes, their government. So what's the anger for? Was there any way
his anger is understood, Mike. His anger is understood.
So would have listened to them.
The truth is this. So long as a delegation was sent down, and in their wisdom, they didn't see it important enough
to discuss
with that delegation. ECOWAS too felt you don't want to change ground. And so here comes the sanction, because the essence...
Wait. Now, let me try and understand. Now, do you feel, undermining even before the delegations were sent to them,
okay,
don't you feel we would have also invited them?
You don't invite them. That's legitimacy.
Okay, we now legitimize.
That is why we decided to say, what is happening?
Okay,
so the delegation was to go and find out to verify. We are hearing that you have taken power.
Why?
So what happened? That's why delegation was sent. But if you have said, please come to see us, it means you are inviting the leadership. No. We just heard, like you are in your house and you heard that your neighbor is not verified. You want to find out.
Not you inviting.
Now the fact-finding mission was denied access to the person they should talk with to actually validate.
So his anger holds no ground.
He has no ground. As far as diplomacy is concerned. Because diplomatically, the right steps were done. But in his anger, in his bravado, he didn't follow diplomacy. Well, military people are not used to diplomacy. So at the end of the day, when you cut off diplomacy, sanctions will follow. It's just a normal thing. You can look at Mali. You see the difference. From the day they came in, they be holding one kind of conversation to the other kind of conversation. So the sanctions are not as hard as these because there's ongoing engagement.
Okay, and then just immediately block the engagement.
And they blocked their own.
Okay. Well, I'm still a bit curious because I'm really curious about many things. Can the junta be trusted with a dialogue? Because what I'm asking, don't you feel, you said it, just like Mali and Niger and Burkina Faso, there's this continuous dialogue. Don't you feel is a way to buy time to legitimize their seize of power?
Beautiful.
Don't you feel that's what they're doing?
I don't see it as
Can we trust them?
They can't be trusted because take it or leave it. This uprising had certain unprintable reasons for coming to power.
Or seizing power, rather.
So now, in these conversations, some of these insider stories will be laid on the table. And some of them may be cogent.
Okay.
And if they are found to be cogent,
okay,
they will only find a way around it, which means, okay, give us a transition program.
Okay.
Then there will be a midwife to midwife the transition.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, within the time space allowed, and you turn to democracy, all we remember ECOWAS' goal is that every member state should have a democratically elected government. So it will move away from this injury of a civilian or a democratically elected president have been removed and a non-democratic government is in place. Once that conversation changes to, yes, a democratically elected government was removed, but there is a process
of the removal.
Other conversations will follow. But coming and you are making them believe that you have come to rule, you put yourself at war with ECOWAS.
And that's what they are facing.
That's it.
Now, let's leave ECOWAS and come home. Let's leave Niger and come back to Nigeria. Now, a lot of criticism has trailed the decision of ECOWAS, spearheaded by Nigeria, to have a military intervention in Niger. Just yesterday, Sunday, the main opposition party, the People's Democratic Party, through its National Publicity Secretary, Honorable
a government that like its people will not lead them to war,
said Mr. President and the APC are just pushing for a needless war, all in a bid to hold on to power. So they said. But my question is it fair thing for them to say? And should we play politics in this? Because would they have done something differently other than what APC has done and Mr. President? Looking that we are now getting a quick result. Less than 3 weeks into the sanctions and all of that, we are now getting the junta to have slept over it, rethink it, and is now calling to say, okay, I am prepared to sit on the table for us to talk.
Well, Mike,
what would they have done differently?
I will.
I know you're not.
I wouldn't want to speak to PDP or APC or. But this is what I'm going to take from this.
Okay, let's go ahead. This
the declaration of war, the best at a moment like this for Nigeria? The answer is no. Why? Even in the ECOWAS, who is 60 or more % of that force that they are going to mobilize?
Of course, Nigeria.
Who is going to pay the bills, buy the armaments, ammunitions, equip the operations?
Nigeria.
Who? Nigeria. Are we that financially buoyant
to
undertake such an eventful
venture?
I'm trying to be careful with my language.
Please,
venture at a time like this? The answer is no. So Why PDP might color it in any way they want to color it. I don't think APC is buying time on power, in my respected opinion.
Okay.
PDP went to court.
And
the appeal court or the presidential election petition tribunal have reserved judgment. If judgment was given yesterday, and because there is a proclamation of war, and so APC was holding, and we see sense in what he said. As it is today, the president of Nigeria and commander-in-chief is President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. He ends there. I don't know what will be tomorrow. So if it was PROP that was president in 2023 when this matter came up, and is the chairman of ECOWAS, would he have taken a different decision? I don't think so. He would have still told this line that Tinubu is doing. Why? At that level of operation, he's not just operating as the president of Nigeria, he's operating as the head of ECOWAS. And ECOWAS has a mandate, which as a president of ECOWAS now, he should be able to uphold. So in his upholding to that charter, to that agreement, certain of these decisions are but necessary. Then he doubles as the president of Nigeria. He should therefore look at the conditionalities in Nigeria and see whether it may be just a mere threat, like we have done before. We know the outgoing presidency did that when they hovered around with a plane, and the next thing, the person surrendered. So sometimes
that should be to go well.
Propaganda is good. So it may
to
just
achieve
be
a purpose.
to achieve a purpose. So if it was that, it's okay. But if actually they intended to push us to war, then I don't think it would have been the wisest
decision.
Decisions. Yeah.
Okay, now I still want us to remain there because do you feel they were just only making those threats?
Yeah. Yes.
It was just a threat.
I believe the only thing they meant from their heart was economic sanction. That of the military option was a mere threat. Because there is no West African country as we speak that is very stable.
Okay.
You talk of Ghana, just look at all of them. Economically, we cannot do what we did in Sierra Leone.
But France said they were ready to equipped with ECOWAS. And by extension, ECOMOG will be going into action.
Let me tell you. France had 2 air bases in Niger. In this crisis, they ran away. So but
they were told to leave.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me, sir.
Okay.
Before the coup came, they were there.
Yeah.
They should have had the intelligence of what was going on because they are military bases. Is that not true?
Yes.
What did they do? That's why I told in my opening statement that I believe that there is an issue between those who are warmongers, war merchants, trying to do something. They've destabilized Europe between Russia, Ukraine, and there's a distortion of food in the world. They are coming to Africa to distort again the flow of natural resource between Africa and Europe. There is a game somewhere. So we can't go to war. I believe it was just, and if you check very well, when they met again to resolve the resolution on the option, you saw that they dragged their feet. Because I knew it was just a threat.
But anyway, the sanctions are doing its work.
And there are even more sanctions that can come without even going to war. We are talking of this economic now. We can move it a little more and include maybe health. We can even include more. It can become education. We can include more and make sure there is visa restriction for anybody. So that, and how can they live? Can they live all
isolation?
In isolation? No. So there are so many trade and economic weaponry that can be leashed on anybody. And so we don't need to go to split blood.
Well, it looks as if they are out of luck being a landlocked country. Anyway, it will be more of our luck if we really talk more on this. But anyway, discussion will come. But we need to go on the break now. But when we come back, we'll continue our discussion and also get you into the discourse as we look at, that seems to happen on Saturday. And the military junta himself saying, well, guys, it looks as if I'm not ready to talk. Let's go on a break.